Okay, so you have done, I mean, you've authored, co-authored articles, you speak on a number of things. That's everything from branding to leadership to work management. And those are things that I have heard from a number of people that you are really good at
Thanks.
and you must enjoy. What does that do for you in terms of, maybe learning your craft more, being able to articulate things, to just personal development?
Yeah, so one of the interesting points about both of those is if I ever get to talk to somebody who is considering a career in marketing or has started a career in marketing and they say, give me some career advice, I tell them, learn how to do two things: learn how to write and learn how to present. And the reason is most people don't know how to write and think they're good presenters, and they're not. And so if you really want to kind of separate yourself and stand above the crowd, those two things. There's so much inside of business. It goes well beyond marketing. If you can write, if you can craft your ideas, if you can develop things that communicate, the direction of the business, written form, and then if you can get up and when you're presenting to a user conference or at a trade show or even trying to sell your idea in front of your peers on an executive staff, if you can do that in such a way that it's compelling and people are like, yeah, I like what I'm hearing here.
Yeah.
You're just going to be much more successful. And most people don't work very hard at either of those things. So I like it. Mine is mainly just to stay in practice. I think that if you don't present very often, you get rusty and you start to lose an edge. I also find it very, very challenging to try and deliver a perfect presentation, which I've never once done, but I love trying and thinking, wow, I could do this better, or I could pause more. My idea that I conveyed here wasn't very clear, and trying to perfect that is really motivating for me. I like doing it. And then on the writing side, I love to write. I write for a hobby. I like developing ideas and presenting them in such a way that it strikes emotion for people. And if I had more time, I'd write some kind of fiction book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I know. You heard it here first. And that's interesting because Seth, I mean, we talked about
Yeah.
him earlier. When I had some one-on-one time with him, he said specifically, he's like, I would love to see you as a professional public speaker. And he went into, it's about storytelling. It's about what you just said, captivating an audience in order to compel them.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah, you have them and they're inspired and they're for that moment. I mean, we all have the attention span of, I think, a goldfish,
Yeah.
they were saying at this point.
Right.
You have their interest in a way that is powerful for them. So it's like a give and take.
Yeah. And I, there's certainly formal speaker training programs I've gone through, I've put people through. I think the best way, you have to identify your style, but then pick somebody who's super good at the style that you want to present at and just study the heck out of them. So I'll date myself, but Tom Peters wrote a book called In Search of Excellence, and he's written other things. He in kind of the 90s was a very powerful business leader. I loved his stage presentations, and I stole his jokes. I imitated his hand motions, but I studied him over and over and over again because I thought his style was something that I liked, and storytelling was a big part of what he did. And I think that's the best way to learn is go imitate somebody that's really, really good.
No, that's so true. I mean, I watch a lot of like Mel Robbins. I think she's one of the top book talents.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever mimic her style because it's a totally different energy type, but it is captivating. Everything she says is
Right.
just interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't say that she's like so fluid. It's like she is intentionally like kind of on this cadence where you're like, I'm into it.
Yeah. And it's interesting also as you think about presentation styles. you do have to pick your style. I mean, there are people who come across as academics. There are people who are high energy. There are people who are really deep thinkers. So you got to pick yours and decide that's the one I'm going to be. And then the nice thing is, we live in this world where you have access to TED Talks and all these other presentations. You just study these people and go, okay, I like how they did that. I'm going to go do that.
Mm-hmm. That resonates.
One of the just one more on presentation. So I got to interview Jim Lovell, who was the commander of Apollo 13, on stage once.
Oh my!
And he, I think when I interviewed him, he was 82 years old. He's still alive, but I was worried. I thought, man, this. How's this going to turn out? I got 2,000 people who are getting ready to see this, and how's this going to turn out? And he got on stage and just clicked into this mode. He was brilliant. And I asked him, I said, how many times have you given this presentation? And he said, I counted not that long ago. He says, I think I've given it around 2,000 times. And the message that I got out of that is, you got to practice. I mean, Seth Godin is a perfect example. Mm-hmm. He knows how people are going to react, when they're going to laugh, when he needs to use voice inflection, when he needs to pause, and it just works. But you got to practice.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You're practicing, but then when you're delivering it, it's as if the first time you've ever had this conversation.
That's right.
So it's this weird mix.
Yeah.
Like, your stuff, kind of the sequencing of it, but then you make sure that you put that energy and magic into it as if this is the first time, the only time.
Yeah.
This is going down.
Yeah, agree.
And you were part of something magical.
That's right.
Yeah, he did that so well.
Yeah.